Now that all the pieces of our story are in place, we're ready to begin the process of refining the edit to achieve the right pacing. Pacing refers to the timing between the clips, and you'll be using Resolve's trimming tools to do just that. To follow along with the lesson, open the Nelson Teaser 2 Stages project from the Project Manager, then locate the Lesson 9 timeline in the master bin. Double-click to open it. The state of this timeline is where we left off from the previous lesson. Press Ctrl-U to reset the layout. Before we dive into trimming, it's helpful to reduce the interface clutter so we can just focus on the visuals. For starters, let's close the Media Pool and the Source Viewer. Click the Media Pool button to close it. Then, in the upper right of the Timeline Viewer, click this Single Viewer button to hide the Source Viewer. Let's increase the size of the viewer just a bit by dragging on the divider that separates the toolbar from the viewer. To center your tracks, drag on the divider line between the V1 and A1 tracks. If you need to, open the Timeline View options and adjust the video and audio track height to your liking. To save this layout, choose Layout Presets, Save Layout as Preset. Let's name this Trimming Preset and press Return. Let's begin our trimming journey on these 3 B-roll clips at the head of the timeline. So we can better focus on them and make more precise edits, park the playhead over the middle clip. When you zoom using Command plus or Control plus on Windows, Resolve keeps the clip centered on the playhead. One of the fastest ways to remove frames at the head or tail of a clip is using the playhead. Let's start with the old bus clip. Scrub over the end of the clip looking for a place to cut. To trim the clip to the right of the playhead, go to the Trim menu and choose Trim End or press Shift right bracket. The clip is trimmed, but the music was also trimmed and a gap was created in the V1 track. Let's undo that. In order to perform a ripple trim, you need to use Resolve's dedicated trim tool by clicking this button or pressing T on your keyboard. Also, you recall from previous lessons how the Auto Select button state can affect your edits. In this case, the Auto Select button is enabled for the A2 track, which caused it to be included in the trim operation. Click the button to disable it for A2 and make sure they're enabled for A1 and V1. Press Shift right bracket to perform the trim. With everything set up correctly, you can now trim the heads and tails of your clips very quickly. Move the playhead over the bus stop clip and play from the beginning.
It's long been said that for the past 80 years,
I want to remove the part where he says, "It's long been said that." Using the waveform as your guide, position the playhead after this phrase. Use the left and right arrow keys to position the playhead more precisely. Now press Shift left bracket to trim the start of the clip to the playhead. Let's play that edit back.
Alien activity. For the past 80 years,
Because you have the trim tool selected, any trim operation performs a ripple trim, which is to say that all clips downstream of the trim will be moved or rippled equal to the number of frames you're removing. Let's see how this tool works on another clip. Scroll down the timeline until you locate the Packard sedan clip. This clip is a bit too long and we want to trim some frames from the start of the clip. We'll be removing 12 frames. With the playhead at the start of the clip, type +12 return. This jumps the playhead exactly half a second into the clip. With the trim tool still enabled, you can tell it's enabled because it's orange in the toolbar. Move your mouse over the edit point. You'll see one of 3 icons. When the tool is to the left of the cut point, you'll be ripple trimming the outgoing shot, and when the tool's to the right of the cut point, you'll be ripple trimming the incoming shot. When the tool is in the center, you'll be trimming both sides of the cut at once. When you see the ripple trim icon on the right side of the cut, click and drag with your mouse. There are a couple of visuals that will help you. The green bar indicates the side of the edit you're trimming. Also notice this white outline extending outward in both directions from the cut point. This visual shows you the entire clip in terms of the available media you have to draw from when trimming. This is the unseen media, often called handle frames. Drag to the right until the edit point snaps to the playhead. The tooltip confirms that we're removing 12 frames. Wait, what? Why is the tooltip reporting a positive number? Here's the deal. The positive and negative numbers refer to the direction the edit is moving. Positive numbers move the edit later in time, and negative numbers move the edit earlier in time. So even though we're moving the edit in a positive direction, we're actually removing 12 frames from the start of the clip. Now release your mouse. Let's look at a common situation where you want to ripple trim just the video or just the audio in a clip. Park the playhead at the edit point of the Packard interior clip. Then press the spacebar to play.
Well, according to the government,
we could make this edit much better if the subject started his line when we're still on the shot of the car interior. But currently, if you select the edit point with the ripple tool, both the video and audio are selected for trimming. Now you could turn off link selection in the toolbar, but I gave you a very good reason in the previous lesson why this is a bad idea. I also showed you an awesome way to temporarily override linking using the Option key, or the Alt key if you're on a PC. Click in the gray area to deselect the edit point. Hold down the Option key and click the video in point for the incoming interview. The green bar confirms that we're about to trim just the picture. Drag to the right while watching the waveform. Notice that because we're trimming just the video, it forces the subject's audio to move earlier in time, below the B-roll clip. Drag until the tooltip reads +1 second and 10 frames, then release the mouse. Let's play that back.
well, according to the government, there's no such thing as...
As you just experienced, ripple trimming alters only one side of an edit point. We'll now look at trimming both sides of an edit point, what is often called a rolling edit. Using your mouse, scroll toward the head of the timeline until you locate the bus stop clip. By the way, if you're using a 3-button mouse, holding down the middle mouse button and dragging will pan the timeline. Play this section from the beginning of the B-roll clip into the interview.
For the past 80 years, for reasons inexplicable.
Earlier in the lesson, we removed the beginning part of his interview, and so this bus stop clip is shorter than it was originally. Move your mouse pointer over the outgoing edit point. You're looking for the icon that has 2 brackets with outward-facing arrows. This icon indicates a 2-sided trim. Selecting the edit point selects both sides, as indicated by the green bars. But the audio for the interview is also selected even though it comes in earlier than the picture. This is because Resolve still considers the video and audio for the interview as linked. Click on the gray area to deselect, then hold down the Option or Alt key and click on the edit point. Now only the video cut is selected. Now drag to the right. As you drag, a 2-up window replaces the single viewer. The image on the left is the outgoing clip end frame, and the image on the right is the incoming clip start frame. Keep dragging until you see the wide shot of the bus appear. Then drag the opposite direction until you see the last frame of the passengers entering the bus. Because we're adding frames to the bus stop clip, we're losing frames on the interview clip. That's why I jokingly refer to rolling edits as the rob Peter to pay Paul edit. Let's play that back.
For the past 80 years, for reasons inexplicable, families on vacation.
So the timing works fine, but I'm not happy where the shot ends. I want to see more of the passengers getting on the bus, not just the mother and her daughter. We need a tool that will allow us to change the in and out points of the clip without changing the clip's current placement in the timeline or its duration. Enter the Slip tool. This time, instead of moving your mouse cursor over an edit point, move it over the center of the clip. An icon appears with 2 brackets containing out-facing arrows. Click and drag to the right. A window with 4 images appears. The image in the upper left is the clip we're adjusting start frame, and the image in the upper right is the clip's end frame. Notice as you drag, the image updates. Drag until the girl and her mom clear the frame on the left. The right image will be our new end frame just before they enter the bus. The frames at the bottom represent the interview clip on either side of the clip you're adjusting, in this case the interview. They're static because they're simply visual placeholders to show you the last frame of the interview before cutting to the bus shot, and the first frame of the interview when it cuts back. Let's move later in time to work on the family picnic shot. Clicking with the Slip tool shows us that we have plenty of handle media at the tail of the clip, but no handle media at the beginning. Also, the bar appears red instead of green. Drag to the left while watching the black and white images at the top. Drag until you see the boy's hand raised above the dog in the left frame, and the close-up of the dog in the right frame. Release your mouse and play back.
They stop They get out, they take a break, and then they disappear for...
So what really did happen to Fluffy? The last tool we'll look at in this lesson is a selection tool. You'll find it on the toolbar here, but you can just as easily press A on your keyboard. Scroll down to the end of the timeline and play back from the Packard interior shot.
Well, according to the government, there's no such thing as Area 51. Well, there actually is on a map, you can pinpoint it, but in terms of its relationship to extraterrestrial activity, the government denies just about everything.
I really think we need a strong ending shot here. Perhaps some aliens. Let's move the playhead just after he says there actually is on a map.
Area 51. Well, there actually is on a map.
Option or Alt-click on the start of the interview clip to exclude the audio, then drag to the right until the clip snaps to the playhead. Unlike the trim tool, the selection tool will leave gaps in your timeline. In other words, this tool will not perform ripple trims that will change the overall timing of your edit. This tool is really useful when you need to create timing gaps that you intend on filling with other clips later. Let's fill the gap with a photo. Park the playhead in the center of the gap. Disable the auto select buttons for all tracks except the V1 track. Press X again, and this time resolve is using the gap duration to create the in and out range. Select the photos bin, then locate the passenger plane image, then double-click it to load it into the viewer. Press F10 to overwrite the photo, filling the gap. We'll be animating this photo in the next lesson. Press Option or Alt-X to clear the in and out points. There's one more thing I would like to say about the selection tool. Move the play to the point just after he says Area 51.
Thing as Area 51.
It's right here, just before this spike in the waveform. Option or Alt-click the start frame in the interview, then drag to the left. The arrow tool works very similar to the roll tool we just looked at. When using it to trim, it will overwrite the frames of any adjacent clip, in this case, the photo of the plane. But as soon as I drag far enough in the other direction, a gap is created. This is something the rolling edit tool does not do. Drag back in the other direction and notice as the edge of the clip gets close to the playhead, it snaps into alignment with the playhead. Sometimes, however, if you're making fine trim adjustments, the snapping behavior can get in the way. So to turn snapping off, click the magnet button in the toolbar or press the letter N on your keyboard. Now whenever you trim, the edge of the clip will have more play. And whenever you need the clips to snap again, just press N. In the next lesson, we'll add even more polish to our teaser by adding transitions and effects.